It is often said that technology, despite its best intentions, has made many of us feel more alone than ever before. Knowing you can go anywhere, do anything, listen to whatever you like, or reach out to whoever you want can make you feel so isolated. Especially if the only thing outside of your window is dark, empty fields or tall trees, and the only people for miles are you and a handful of friends or family. Chatroom culture feels simple to an outsider. Basic discussion boards full of people rattling off to one another about any such nonsense, with little more than a loose theme and some HTML code to direct them. Whether they were getting along or at each other's throats, even in a more controlled internet of the 2010s, chaos could overtake these sorts of places almost immediately. Nowhere was this truer than with rooms dedicated to horror and the paranormal. Founded in March of 2011 and undergoing a variety of transformations, the Weird Hometowns forum and chat room was dedicated to the sharing of tales of haunting and horror, all purportedly real, of small towns across the world, hosting videos, images, and accounts from those who claim to live in or near places where the supernatural and unexplainable occurred. Often inundated with local folklore, misconstrued pranks, and misidentified animals caught on blurry camera or reconstructed from infallible memories of wannabe parapsychologists and kids from backwater towns that had grown overactive imaginations from having little around and not much else to watch than scary movies in the news. While the state the group currently exists in is unknown, the story of how their initial forum was put on lockdown and has been traded and embellished amongst those who enjoy tales of real-world horror for many years. Like many of his cohorts, Michael Birch of Point Pleasant, Ontario was a lifelong believer in the supernatural, an avid horror fan, and a self-proclaimed urban explorer. And of course, being the type to be much more outgoing online than in real life. Those who knew him in life would say he was rather quiet and reserved, the type to blend into the background, often spooking his co-workers at the North Star Drive-In Theater where he worked part-time with sudden interjections of this or that. A devotee to analog media, especially tapes, film, and film photography, Michael often would post cut-up videos of his explorations to the Weird Hometown forums, often with his own voiceover recorded on tape and then brought over to his computer through rudimentary means, giving it all a crackling undertone that made it all feel older than it was. Few people bat an eye when a fairly quiet loner with strange hobbies vanishes, so when his car was found ways into a nearby field after he hadn't come home from a fairly late closing shift at the drive-in on August 4th, 2018, despite concerns from his parents, despite the lack of phone calls, and despite the fact that his keys had been left in the unlocked car not far from the old lodge that had become one of his urban exploration holy grails, according to those who are aware of his hobby. Few people beyond his family and a couple close friends bothered looking for him. The missing persons reports were filed as soon as they could be, and while little was found by way of search parties and on-the-ground detectives, investigations into his personal belongings and internet history eventually brought them to the Weird Hometowns forum, where none of the users were aware he had even been missing. Posted on the night he disappeared, footage filmed in his usual style and recorded initially from what looked to be the lodge that he'd stopped at. Photos and videos stitched together with little narration of the twisting hallways, irregular layouts of the building, and often pieces showing rooms that did not exist as far as those investigating could tell. The largest discrepancy in the first set of photos and videos wasn't noticed until later, however, with the bulk showing the building during the daytime, often brightly lit, giving the impression of a sunny day, despite the fact that they had been posted, and assuming the metadata included wasn't tampered with, taken the night he had disappeared. The second merely confounded things further. showing instead icy wilderness as viewed from a window within the lodge, despite being the peak of summer. The few bits of audio that were offered up, making it clear that the cold had begun setting in, exacerbated further as he stepped into the frozen forest, little by way of any signs of human life beyond the rare appearance of what looked to be a radio tower. The final batch, however, is often what is cited as the reason the forum was locked down in the first place. Consisting of several photographs and snippets of video of Michael attempting to navigate wide open fields of corn and sunflowers, interspersed with empty plots and rare bushes of forest and green grass, all of it seeming well tended to despite no signs of human life. The audio, while still recorded on tape, seems to have been taken by someone other than Michael, often coming on only to capture his loud calling for help, convinced that perhaps after all of this he had found his way to the fields near his hometown, his voice growing hoarse with each call, often underscored by deep thrumming that seems to be closer to the recording microphone than he is. As time passes, eventually, the field grows darker and darker, his calls becoming more and more frantic as the thrumming gets louder before the video ends and all is silent. In order to not hinder the investigation, the webmaster of the Weird Hometowns forum locked down the bulk of the forum, moving discussions to their private chat room in an attempt to lower clutter and stop armchair detectives from flooding the boards as the strange events surrounding Michael Birch's disappearance began to trickle into true crime communities worldwide, leaving only Michael and themselves with the ability to post until they had been contacted by the police or Michael's family with information on the investigation being closed. Now, almost 4 years on and little evidence beyond Michael's own found footage, the case has yet to be solved. The only major piece of evidence found so far seems to have been a fluke, as Michael's pocket recorder, a rather bulky old cassette recorder he'd bought at a thrift store and was rarely seen without, was inexplicably found in the North Star Drive-In's arcade, having somehow found its way beneath one of the claw machines, the tape inside almost full. While the full contents of the cassette has yet to be released, it has been confirmed that the contents do seem to include the audio that had been posted, though who recorded it and how it managed to find its way to the theater remains unknown. These days, the Weird Hometowns forums users continue to jump from chat room to chat room, now somewhat infamous for how insular they've become in the past few years, each of them waiting for word that would let them return to the forum as their stories are steadily lost to time. It's often said that technology is designed to bring us together, but when the internet is your only means of connection, you can find yourself feeling completely and utterly alone, no matter how far your shouts carry.